The Intergovernmental Affairs Committee hearing is now in session. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Alderman Rhodey.
Present.
Alderman Vollmer.
Present.
Alderwoman Ingrassia.
Present.
Alderwoman Tyus.
Present.
Alderman Bosley.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd. Chairman Moore.
We are here.
Chairman Moore.
Right.
6 present, you have a quorum.
We're here today hearing Ingrassia's bill, Alderwoman Ingrassia's bill about the metropolitan sewer, about, to me, is just getting more money for us to administer Metro's problems that we have with the city. So I have Christine Ingrassia to explain that to us. For Bill 126.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm here on Board Bill 126 today. This would authorize the City of St. Louis to enter into an agreement with the Metropolitan Sewer District and be reimbursed for sharing water data that's required of us per state statute. I think that was something that came up when we were here last time. There were some questions, one of them being that we weren't really sure what the enabling statute was, and I'm going to pass that out right now. And I've highlighted the portion that the state requires us to do this. Other municipalities in the city do it, and I think if there are concerns, as were mentioned to me before, we would need to address those at the state level. I have Kurt Scobie here from the Water Department. He can talk more specifically about the fiscal note, but this is just increasing what we're currently getting paid for and then providing a provision that would let us increase the compensation pursuant to the consumer price index each year. And I'm happy to take questions or have Kurt come up, whatever you prefer first.
Is this a Missouri statute?
The one I just passed out is a Missouri state statute, correct?
And does all municipalities have this
So
requirement?
Yes, it says any private water company, public water supply district, or municipality supplying water to the premises located within a sewer district shall, upon reasonable request, make available to such sewer district its records and books, so that such sewer district may obtain therefrom such data as may be necessary to calculate the charges for sewer service.
Okay, before I take questions, I asked Kurt Scobie if he would sit in the hot seat.
Come on up, Kurt.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman and committee members.
Good morning.
Would you explain to us what this bill is about, what you know of the bill?
What this bill is about is an agreement between the city and MSD to share the billing data from the Water Division to MSD. They'll use that to form or basis of their bills that they send out to their customers. And this kind of outlines the compensation the city would receive for providing this information and interacting with them as required to supply this.
Okay, last time we were here, we had a little slight problem with information as to what the old board bill was about and how do we arrive at the cost. This goes in the general revenue fund, right?
No, this will be in the Water Division enterprise account.
Okay, so in order for us, so I talked to the sponsor and she said we're not renewing it. This is a new board bill altogether.
It is.
Okay,
Previous agreements were done through a different mechanism and like a service agreement is my understanding.
do you know how much money we were getting from the old?
We were getting around 11,000,
A year?
no, a month, $11,800 a month.
That's juicy.
It is. And under new provision, it would go up to $13,000 a month.
Okay.
And then, so there's a little bit more, and then there's tied to the consumer price index.
Do you think as a water man that this is compensational enough, 13,000 from 11?
I think it's a fair amount, fair market amount for this, and is good to have. It's money we wouldn't get otherwise.
So this data that we're supplying them with, this is ongoing, everyday data? Is it a monthly request, or is it a weekly request? And how much workforce is it taking from us? Is it compensation, like I said, is it compensation on to cover what we do for the water division?
You know, this is Perla Burke. She is oversees the finance department and customer
No,
service.
Christie, stay right there.
Okay.
Sit right there by you.
Okay, here you go.
And she'll be more familiar with the actual everyday interaction.
Good morning, Alderwoman, Alderman. So basically, the information that we send out to, each time that we generate a bill, either it's flat rate or metered rates, that's transmitted to them through an FTP folder, which is the file protocol. And so it's secure. And but we don't do it on a daily basis. It's when we generate the bill, and we send them that information. So we do quarterly billings for each account, different cycles. And so for each time that we generate those bills, then we send the information to MSD. And they use that as a basis to billing MSD customers for sewer.
Why is that something that MSD can't do themselves?
I think, and I don't know why I think what happened is that it's probably, the data is already there, we already captured that information. And so it's probably, it makes sense to have that same information that they use, because like for metered bills, they get information for consumption. And so they use that for billing purposes.
If I could add to that, it is MSD typically bills based upon water consumption when there's a meter, and they would have no idea of the amount of water that a premise uses if they couldn't determine that on their own. So that's why they go to the water companies to get that. And likewise with flat rate, you don't, for a given size building, there's an accepted billing or assumption of water consumption. That's why how the flat rate bill is billed. So they use that to build their sewer bill. They wouldn't know, and they don't bill people who don't use water. If there's property that has no active water account, they don't have a sewer bill. So they wouldn't know who has a water bill if they didn't get it from the water company.
This by no means will steer us towards being charged with a meter on individual homes, will it?
No, this doesn't have
No
any,
restriction at all.
none, no say on that at all.
I want to make sure, because we don't want no meters on
There would have to be a change in the ordinance for that.
Yeah, that would have to be done separately, with a whole different discussion.
Okay. I entertain questions for the committee to ask, to whom they would like to ask the question. Would you like to sponsor Kurt Scobie or whom? Joe Rody?
No questions.
Joe Palmer?
No, so we actually get money from MSD, it's a good thing.
Ingrassia, would you like to ask yourself some questions?
Ask myself some questions. I think I'm good on that today.
Alderwoman Tyler.
Questions. So I was here when we changed. I've been in my house 30-something years. So I was here when we changed back under Freeman how MSD collected the money. I went and got one of my old bills that I used to get quarterly, and same amount of people live in there. Let me tell you, it makes me very upset to look at the difference in my bill since 1986 to now, which now I get monthly. And one of my friends was on MSD, Daryl Jones, and he and I had a very long, drawn-out argument about the way they were changing things, and mostly on the whole premise of, I understand why you need water bills when you're going to look at who has a meter or not, because that gives you. But I don't understand what you need with my data if I have a flat rate, because it doesn't tell you anything to get my data at all. And all you need to know is which buildings are owned or not, because you already got the assumption, which is a false assumption, because what it says is how many water closets you have. I can have 20 people in a unit using up all the water I want to, and I can have one person in a unit. If they have the same water closet, they pay the same fee under flat rate. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Which is very unfair. And so during that time when this was going on, and this is, were you with the city? I know you weren't the commissioners because they visited.
I was with the city previous to this position. I was out of the treatment plant,
Okay.
so I wasn't.
Right, but I know that the thing of this, I always thought that was unfair. And to me, we should go to meters then, okay? I was told the city didn't want to pay for that out of that, but over the years, as many years as that's been now, we could have been doing meters. Because that's just a false assumption based on no realistic expectation except for, so it says if I have 2 bathrooms and I have 2 water closets, that I use the same amount of money as somebody with 2 people in there or 1 person in there versus 10 people. That's just a false assumption. Wouldn't we agree?
Yeah, it's just the way that it's built, and
It's wrong.
There's good and bad angles to it.
It's a false assumption, though. I mean, this is based on, and like I said, this is my friend who was in my wedding.
Yeah.
He and I went at it because I'm like, where are you getting this from? Okay, how do you come up with this kind of thing? It makes no sense. Okay, so it was done anyway, but it was not a good thing. It's not fair to people, and especially seniors who might live alone in the house. It's just really not fair. And the whole argument, well, they could pay to get a meter put on. Why would they have to pay to get a meter? The city changed all of this and made it vastly unfair. So if I live in a mansion and I have 2 or 3 water closets, I pay the same as somebody who might have 2 or 3. And it's based on, when I say water closet, the toilet, is that it?
Yeah, the number of toilets, showers, number of rooms.
So they do count showers too, or is it?
It's that'd be counted as the same as like a tub.
So if you have, what if you have a facility that has a shower in it but no toilet? Would that still be counted?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So anyway, I do think that this is unfair, and I'm trying to figure out why. I understand why you need the information about the people who have meters. Tell me why you need it. Why MSD needs it for the people who don't.
They need to bill them because they are those houses that have water going through their plumbing, and that goes into MSD, and they have to collect it and treat it and process it. So this is why they.
But they're not going to use it to determine a bill. So they could easily, so you could just send a name or a list of addresses of those who have water. Doesn't have to have anything else about them. These are what names and the address of who got water in their name, right?
This is MSD bill, and I'm not sure exactly how they use our information, but this is the information.
We're not insured, and I'm not giving you, I'm just saying, we know how they use our information.
Well, I'm not sure how they build their bill from the information we give them on flat rate.
Have we asked them?
No, I have not.
So I guess I'm old enough also, I don't like Big Brother, okay? So I'm the person on Google that says, no, don't track my stuff and don't record my voice. Because I've been around long enough to know that Big Brother is coming true and that people take this stuff for granted now. That people, young people think, oh, take all that stuff, and then in a few more years when all this stuff shows up and they're looking for jobs, they're going to be surprised. So I find that strange that we wouldn't ask them how they use our data, okay? That would be a question that should be answered from somebody.
Well, I can ask them. But it's not part of the Water Division mission of supplying drinking water. That's part of MSD's business of operating a sanitary and stormwater system, and it's.
Is there anyone here from MSD?
They're not here today.
So here's what it says. So I have the law. The law says that we should give to them any records and books so that the sewer district may obtain from such data as may be necessary to calculate the charges for sewer services. So if we don't know what they're doing with our data, how do we know what we're giving them? And I'm separating it because we know who has a meter, for those flat rates, how do we know that they're used? I don't see how they're using it to calculate any such thing.
Can you explain what is contained in the file that gets sent to MSD? What information?
That was my next question.
It's just basically the billing, water, the number of rooms, and then it's basically similar to what shows up in our water bill. And so it's,
I can't
but
hear you
it's
talking to
has-
her, and I'm the
Oh.
person that has the
Oh,
floor.
I'm
and
sorry.
she actually wasn't supposed to do that, so talk to me so I can hear in all of us.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. What's
So-
your name again?
Perla Burke.
Perla Burke, okay, thank you. All right, and so that was my next question. What is it that gets transmitted?
So it's basically like for the water consumption for the meter reads, and so that's the information that they get for metered accounts, and then for flat rate it's the same unless there's some number of changes in the rooms. It's basically the number of rooms and water closet, and so those how we the number of rooms and the showers and bathtubs. So those are information that's mostly the flat rate is kind of fixed information, but once in a while we do get like changes in the number of rooms, like if somebody's doing a rehab.
Or
So those could change, but mostly the flat rate are pretty stable, same information.
So, and that goes to my next point. It would seem reasonable to me that the additional information they would need to calculate with the flat rate would be from the building division as to what additions or subtractions, so sometimes somebody takes a bathroom out, would occur. So, does the building division transmit that information over to the water division when that happens?
When there's a rehab, for example, and we do our own inspection, so our meter water workers would actually go in there. The customer would call us and make appointment, and then we don't change information in our billing until we actually have our own employee making that inspection.
So
for
you
the
send an
number of
employee
rooms.
out to inspect?
I'm sorry.
You send an employee out to inspect if there's a,
Yes.
so say for instance, I did an addition to my house, but we ended up just moving the bathroom, not addition, but we still got the permits and stuff like that. So, so you would have sent somebody out to inspect the bathroom?
Well, yes, if there is a change and like if there's a rehabbing, when they're done with the construction, before they open an account, we would go in there and we would inspect the number of rooms, because then we know that when there's some kind of construction work, then that will be the time when the number of rooms could change. And so we would want to bill our customers accurately based on the current information they have.
For
number
every
of-
project,
Wait a minute.
for
But
every
it's not
project.
automatic if somebody adds a room. we
No,
wouldn't-
no.
Unless we were notified of it, we wouldn't
Right.
make a change.
Right. And sometimes the customer did call us and say, we always tell our customers, if you want to check for us to inspect your number of room, if you feel that that your bill is not accurate, then go in there. We'll go ahead and send our people there. To make an appointment on what's the best time for both of, for them and for us.
So when you're saying you're saying the water department goes
Yes.
out, not the building division?
No.
Because if you apply for a permit, then the building division would also have to go out and do an inspection. And so why wouldn't you just give it, it seems like you're doing the inspection twice. Why wouldn't you just get that information from the building division? Because plumbing has to come out, electric. I've been rehabbing for 30-something years. Plumbing, electric, all these things have to come out. Why wouldn't they then just be able to, why shouldn't they send a notice to you, hey, we went out to 4968 Mappa Place, they added a bathroom, and it's got a shower and a toilet.
I think part of that too is that because of we do financial reporting, and there is a governmental accounting standard that we should be in control of our billing, and so that means that we should use information that we ourselves gather as far as like billing our customers the number of rooms, and so that's what I can think of as being in an accounting department, that we shouldn't be adjusting information other than our own people doing it. So
Well, if it was anybody but the city of St. Louis's building division, maybe I would agree with you, but I think that's double the work, that we don't have the duplicity. I don't think you need to do that, I don't believe anybody's gonna come out from the building division and say, because first of all, they have to put it on a permit, that's what they're doing, okay? So when we moved our bathroom, we had to get a permit. We had to move our bathroom someplace else. And so that was all clearly laid out. So I don't, to me, we're paying two people to do the same thing. So that's just a little thing. I had another question. Why, previously you said, Mr. Scobie, that we had a service agreement. Why are we now going to an ordinance? Do you know?
Well, when the service agreement expired, I asked what was the process of, to reenact it, and I was told it needs to go through the Board of Aldermen and as a ordinance.
And so when it expired, we were for a couple of years without any agreement at all. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, we've been without an agreement, been working off the old agreement, expired agreement.
And then how long has it been since we had an agreement?
2014.
August 2014.
Okay, so we've been approximately 3 years, about
Yes.
3 years without an agreement. And then when you asked the question, that's when they said we needed to do that. And who did you ask the question to? You remember?
Well, I would have, of course, talked to the Slay administration, and then also consult with the city councilor's office.
Okay.
We have Barb Burkett from the city councilor's office, if that's helpful.
I
to
beg your
you.
pardon?
Barb Burkett from the city councilor's office is here if you have a question about the change.
Unless they can answer what MSD does with the data that they get.
Unfortunately, no.
I know. Because that's the whole essence of the state statute. It says that you have to be records that are reasonably necessary to calculate the charges. So if you can't tell me what they're doing with the data, then you can't tell me that it's reasonably necessary to give them said data. And again, I want to make sure I understand. So what we send over to them is the name of the person who has the water bill, is that correct?
The service address,
The service address,
And the billing address.
the billing address.
And
because
then,
sometimes they are different, that's right, okay.
and then the bill, based upon either the flat rate fixtures that they have and or a meter account where there's water consumption.
And so I'm really, the meter account, I absolutely get, okay?
Yeah,
Okay, I do. You have to have it. I don't have any problem with that. I'm with that, okay? So, but with the flat rate, your name, your service address, the billing address, how many water closets?
yeah, number of water closets, the number of rooms, showers / tubs, frontage of property. There's a component of that goes with the bill. Am I skipping anything, Perla?
I don't know if the first fire connection, that might be another, I'm not positive, but that's,
Yeah,
So if I requested, so that nobody else's data, if I requested what you were going to send about my own data, could you give that to me?
sure.
Okay, so then I would know exactly what you're transmitting.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm going to ask. I want to see what you are transmitting to somebody else, okay? And so I hear you say you do this quarterly?
we do quarterly on each of so we have, 3 flat rate accounts to 3 cycles, and then we have several of them that are metered rate. So for each time that we generate the bills, those information transmitted to MSD.
We don't bill everybody at the same time every quarter. It's broken down into what we call cycles.
Right.
So all of our accounts are spread through these cycles, and over a period of the quarter, they're billed out. And when they're billed, that's shared with MSD.
So MSD doesn't have to request, you automatically just, okay, when it gets to this quarter, this cycle, you send over, let's just say, we use a number, these are the 100 people that we have now that we're billing, is that correct?
Right,
Yes.
that's what the agreement
Yeah, and
kind of spells out, and it's been the practice.
Okay, and so they don't have to call you and say, hey, is there somebody who has water on that we don't know about? So you just automatically transmit that,
Yeah,
okay. And how many cycles did you say you had
We
for
have,
flat rate?
so three cycles and flat rate, cycle 1, 2, and 3. And I know, I can't remember in all of the metered rate, we have cycle 4, 5, 6, And I know it's skipped.
Yeah, skip some, that's where,
Yeah,
I'm not
because
sure
they
what.
changed it several, and over the years, they were called different cycle and it just
Right.
changed. And so I would say we probably have an easy, and we can get back to you
Across
with
the
the
whole city?
information,
That's
yeah.
not- it's
Because
not
I don't want to give
critical.
you information
That's-
that's not accurate.
I'd just like to know all
Yeah.
information, okay? That's
Yeah.
not critical. Okay, and then, so our previous service agreement, which expired 3 years ago, was at 11,800. Now we're at 13,000. So we went up 1,100 in 4 years. What kind of, that really, with the amount of billing that MSD does us, we couldn't do any better than that? And who negotiated this difference?
Who sets the rate?
Well, this is in conversations with them, they pay Missouri American for their information, and but they get a whole lot more customers that they serve, so they get more money than we do, but it proportionally is about the same, I think.
They get a whole lot because the county, they do St. Louis County.
Yeah, St. Louis
They
County,
do St. Charles County also. And
parts of St. Charles County they do, but MSD doesn't operate out there.
okay,
So they would go to the local municipality.
okay, and get it from them. Okay, but because it's so much larger. But most
Yeah.
of those people are on meters too. probably.
Yeah,
Right.
that's correct,
So they get a more exacting bill.
correct.
Okay.
She only have 12 more questions.
That's fine.
I see you piggybacking off of my question. This is how you find out stuff, okay? Let me see, where's my other question? Do we ever anticipate, everybody's talking about the meters. I know if we went ahead and paid for the meters, that we would get a lot less because our laws are changing. When I first got here, you had to have your gutters from your house had to go into the ground and had to do the exact opposite of now what we say you shouldn't do. In fact, we made it illegal for people to have barrels and things where the water would run off, which we have now anyway because we save our rainwater and use it for other things. But the city's law prohibits you from doing that. Isn't that correct?
From putting meters in, or?
No, from
what?
using your runoff from your house,
I think you can put in today.
Now,
rain
But
barrel.
before we couldn't.
I believe that's correct.
Right, and then, so now, when we do new buildings, we actually have to build, are all new buildings now required to put storm or versus sewer? Do we have double sewers going in?
I think, but I truly don't know.
I think I remember that from someplace being passed, that we had to do that before I left.
Yeah,
before.
MSD is going through a big program to separate out a stormwater system from the sanitary, so I would think that's.
I think our new
required.
buildings are required to do that. And so I'm sorry that MSD is not here because my direction is at them because it's not at you, Mr. Scobie, at all. What I really don't like is I've been reading all these articles about how MSD built out all the county places and how the price we're paying for county people to have expanded. And in my neighborhoods, what they're doing is coming in and tearing down whole neighborhoods for runoff because they didn't do what they were supposed to and they didn't bill people. So it seems like, although you say they're getting a lot more money from the county, but they're exact. There's a lot of people like me that's paying a lot of extra bills that have no business doing it because we have to go into our pockets, which I can afford to, but other people can't, and change over to a meter so that we can be billed correctly. So, and I just read a guest column from our good friend Tom Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, I've been knowing him for a lot of years, but I agree with him with this guest column that he did about MSD negligence and incompetence causing a lot of things, and then using African-American neighborhoods specifically because we've been able to keep the property values down. So it's cheaper for them to just go in and tear down whole neighborhoods because they haven't done the work than to build a sewer system. So
Catch basements.
Right, exactly. They did one over in Penrose area off of Essex Place, right behind Natural Bridge. They're doing one over in the Wells Goodfellow neighborhood, Vanda. It's all over the Mark Twain neighborhood, all in. So many of them, because they didn't put the time and the work to do it correctly. And to me, they did not build people. When you're building out, that's part of building out, that you should have been building people. So they maybe get more money from them, but we've floated the cost of MSD a lot more, so I have a lot of problems with that.
So are you recommending any higher price before we go any further?
Yes, I would, that's why I was asking who negotiated that. I think that's an awful amount to, only in 4 years, we go $1,100. That's nothing. Did you negotiate?
No, ma'am.
Who negotiated it?
Well, I had, I would have been the one who had the conversation with them.
Okay.
And at the time, I looked at what they're paying others, and this was in line with what they were paying others. It appeared to be kind of the market value at the time.
Okay.
Would you like to make a motion to?
I don't have enough, that's just my
Enough
thoughts,
information?
that I don't have enough information to do that. I mean, I would love to think I did, but I just don't. That's my own gut feeling, which is not different than the facts. Gut feeling and facts are not the same. So I do have to yield, except for I sure would. I'd like to see it being a bit more, okay? But I don't have any information before me to do that. My last question is, where is it? Told me that. That's my year's flat. It might have been my last question. Data already there. So you said you could give me a copy of what my data that's transferred to
Yeah.
MSD, and I just really would like to have a conversation with you about maybe, because right now, if we put this and without any, because I wrote in here that maybe we,
Outside of this committee?
yes, only because you could be there, it's no secret, I just don't,
Okay,
I just don't have enough information. I had written down on my board bill that I would like to see a sunset clause, because I don't know, and that, because other than that, we're stuck at this amount. And so if we renegotiate, we'd have to bring something back in, whereas if we had a sunset clause that said this lasts for so much, then that makes them have to negotiate with me. So that was just one of my suggestions, and I am done, Mr. Chairman.
you're done.
Yes.
What I'd like to know is, what prompt, we've been missing for 2 years, no money for 2 years.
We're still receiving the money, it's just under the old terms. So this would increase the amount and then provide a provision that would automatically increase pursuant to the consumer price index.
Alderman Bosley.
I don't have any questions.
Pam Boyd is not here.
I have one other, I'm sorry, I found my other
Go
question.
ahead,
Okay, sorry. My other last question was, what prompted you to ask questions about the ordinance, since we were still operating under the old agreement, which wasn't an ordinance?
Well, it expired, and so, I don't like expired stuff. I want it, something
The
solid.
engineer in you.
Yeah, that's right. I like it. The calculations add up, and so that's what prompted it. And I was not familiar with how the previous agreement was done. So, and things change. It's been a while. So I asked, because I want to do it what's appropriate. And so I asked, and this is the answer I got.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions? I entertain a motion to put this up and down in this committee.
Move to pass it.
Second.
Just call a roll.
Alderman Rhodey,
Aye.
Alderman Vollmer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingrassia,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus,
Present.
Alderman Bosley,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Chairman Moore.
Aye.
5 aye votes, 1 present.
That's it.
That's it, we is passed out in a short period of time, and I appreciate your help.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your time, I appreciate it.
Meeting adjourned.